Hey, how's it going, Ka?
It's good. It took a while for it to start streaming. I was like, did he hit the button? Am I supposed to hit the button? It's that great existential dread that I feel when we start a stream.
So you know how we always talk about like, hey, we expect it to be a busy day, we expect it to be a slow day, just because we have to staff things and get prepared and everything.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I didn't have this on my bingo card today because we had
Okay.
a lot of weird news
Hold
today. We
on.
had
Hold on. Flag. We need to ban that phrase. It doesn't make any sense. Do you keep a daily bingo card? And what are these things that you're putting on it? And I don't understand it. It's
don't you?
overused, and I'm banning it.
Okay, I mean, I do have a bingo card I use to say it has Disney Executive Shuffle. It has canceled Star Wars project on it, and then every once in a while I get to say bingo. But any case, uh,
But if you had executive shuffle on it, then you would have gotten a space today, but you didn't. Or at least you
I
didn't
got
get Disney Parks blog posting an article that's really four articles. The proxy, which is two articles, and then the executive shift, which is another article, all at the same time.
so yeah. So the proxy came out. We got to find out how much Bob Iger made. Spoiler alert: it's a lot. So $440 million. Um,
And he sold
mm,
42 million in stock. Don't you remember?
yeah, because that NWSL team won't pay for itself. Well, I mean, I'm sure. Never mind. And then you had, and then we got the shareholder meeting, which you can tell was great because I happened to be on vacation during that, so that's unfortunate. Um, and then we got the news that they're making some changes to Disneyland, the hotels of the Disneyland Resort, including new concierge lounges, a redo of Napa Rose, which is about time, uh, and some other things. New room product
Some
at
a
Grand
light
California.
refresh of the rooms at Grand Californian, and
Yeah,
then yeah, I think that
which makes me
was.
feel
Oh,
old because
and
I feel
then
like they just did that.
a couple more themed rooms opening at Pixar.
But the big news I want to talk about, because in a way, I think the presidents of the Disney parks, particularly Disney and Disney World, are sort of Disney celebrities. And there's a change
Their
coming.
Instagram accounts you have to follow.
Yeah, exactly. I hope everyone's following Thomas Maslin. So Ken Potrak, who's currently president of Disneyland Resort, you may have seen him. He was in charge of the sports complex. He was in charge
You
of
may
Disney
remember me
Springs at a
from.
point. What's that?
You sound like Troy McClure. You may remember him from such Disney positions as.
So he's getting a new job. He's leaving the Disneyland Resort to become president, the Walt Disney Company Major Events Integration. And apologies to whoever wrote this, the Walt Disney Company, but it's going to he's going to be developing comprehensive cross company plans to maximize the value of large scale sports, entertainment, and tourism events, ranging from the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics to the 250th to the 250th anniversary of the nation, presumably the nation being America. So this is
I
very
would think
weird.
so.
So the first of all, the 250th anniversary of America is before the 2020 Olympics. The 2020 Olympics are sort of run by NBC. In fact, Universal is going to be the International Broadcasting Center. So, uh, famously, when the Olympics are in a city, the Disney parks do terribly, um, as you can see in the 1984 Olympics and the recent 2020 Paris Olympics. He's going to be reporting to even though it says the Walt Disney Company major events, he's reporting to Josh D'Amaro, but he's also accountable to Jimmy Pitaro at ESPN. I asked, does this mean he now takes over the ESPN Experiences business? They don't seem to have a good answer on that, um, or I should say a good answer. They don't have an answer on that. They it just seems like this is a weird job that doesn't need to happen. The president of Disney Resort is a job you need to have. You need to have someone who's in charge of it. This job, if they're not putting him out to pasture, they did a very bad job of making it seem like they're not putting him out to pasture because there's nothing in here that says what they plan on doing. Like, is he supposed to, like, I get he's supposed to come up with a plan, but usually when you get these assignments, you already have some sort of idea of what you want this job to be. Um,
Maybe he could partner with Angel City FC.
maybe he will. So that's weird. So taking his spot is Thomas Maslam. He was previously the head of Disney Signature Experiences, which is all the Disney experiences vacations that are not theme parks. So Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, so on and so forth. He came to Disney in 1998 as hotel director for Disney Cruise Line. He left Disney and then he came back and had various leadership roles at Disney World and Disney Cruise Line, and Signature Experiences. So he's the new president of Disneyland Resort. He'll be presumably relocating to California and having all those sort of Anaheim City Council meetings, and he'll probably presumably join the board of CHOC because that's what all presidents of Disneyland do, the Children's Hospital of Orange County. So he's your new president at Disneyland. Hopefully, he. I mean, I have no reason to think he wouldn't do a great job, but wish him the best. Joe Schott, who I do know, great guy. He's the head of Disney Signature Experiences now, taking Thomas's spot. He was previously in charge of Shanghai Disney Resort since 2019. A great guy. He's done a lot of international stuff for Disney Paris. He was executive director for Disney Attractions Japan, so partnering with Oriental Land Company. So I'm happy for him. Andrew Bolstein, also a great guy who's been at Shanghai Disneyland since it opened. He's been there 13 years, but he's been with Disney for 30 years, and he will take over Shanghai Disneyland, reporting to Joe Estrano.
So he's been at Shanghai Disneyland well before it opened. If he's been there 13 years,
sure, yeah. He was the first person. I'm not saying he's the first person who went there, but he's the first person I know ever when I was in that world that I ever heard of at Shanghai Disney Resort. So I'm happy for him to kind of continue working there at Shanghai Disney as they have to figure out what their future is. So that's all. There's a lot, and these transitions are happening immediately. Essentially, this will all be done by March. So obviously, people have to change their bags. It's not as quick as a presidential transition, which seems to happen in like 90 minutes, but they will all start. So
when I
Googled
Googled to get photos of these people, it brought me to the page, and it already had their new titles on the page. But then when you went to the landing page to see all the leadership, it still had their old titles. So that's how quickly it happened, is that their titles on the pages.
And even though I followed Ken on Facebook, and now I'm automatically following Thomas Maslam.
You can't unfollow Thomas either.
So yeah, I like Ken. From when we recently saw Ken, he was really excited about leading Disneyland through Disneyland Forward. Yeah, I don't know what changed. I don't know if he's happy about this. I mean, he's publicly going to be happy about this, but and I hope he's worked at big. He's known for having big ideas. He pivoted Disney's Wide World of Sports to embracing the ESPN. Obviously, Disney Springs was a big reinvention. He was in charge of previous Disney Super Bowl halftime shows. So I don't know if that's in our future again, but it just seems odd because the 250th anniversary of America, as anyone would know, is coming up next July, or 18 months from now, basically. And Disney had a huge presence for the bicentennial, right? Americon Parade. We've heard nothing about it since, so it'll be interesting to see what Disney does for that. Hopefully, they do something. I've actually been sort of keenly watching what is Disney going to do for the a bicentennial.
I have no idea,
but I think the Olympics is a little bit of a hard nut to crack. Disney has traditionally had a relationship with the Olympics before, everything sort of merged together, and now NBC Universal kind of controls it. We do get contacts from Universal a lot saying, hey, we're going to be the big deal for the Olympics. So I think it was an odd thing to call out here. particularly since I don't expect Disneyland to be particularly busy during the 2028 Olympics. Now, maybe Ken's going to figure out how to make Disneyland busy during the 2028 Olympics, but just weird. What do you think as a sort of more, I don't want to say casual fan, but
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, yeah, the 2028 Olympics. It's like, okay, they're I don't know what they're going to do, but I think you're right. I think it's going to be about trying to promote the resort while there are people in and the company at large while a bunch of people are in Los Angeles, including some potentially important people. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the role is, but it sounds like a thing. I mean,
yeah.
because I figured like if they want to get rid of them, you can just get rid of people. I don't know why you'd create an extra role for them.
Well, I mean, there's been a history of this, right? Like people going to remember when George Kalogridis left to basically oversee the Disney Institute, um, and then as soon as he left, that just wasn't a job anymore. I don't think this is a job after Ken leaves it. This is not a job that. I mean, it maybe is a department that makes sense. Just odd to have this as a as a president level position. I think, and there's talk about okay, well, since the Walt Disney Company, does that mean that it's everything D23 movies, TV? Like, I mean, they're not reporting to the entertainment segment, so I don't, except for Jimmy Pitar. Like, it's odd the way this is all structured.
Well, yeah, if they're trying to integrate sports more into it, and as you mentioned, he had a history of moving ESPN into the parks, then trying to bridge those worlds. That sounds like a reasonable goal, especially as they look to make ESPN a direct-to-consumer brand instead of something that you get bundled with your cable.
Yeah, and ESPN, as I said, ESPN Experiences is trying to do that as something more of a sort of a broader brand, but they don't necessarily. Even though ESPN Experiences put up a post today on the front ESPN front rows, the sort of PR website about it, they didn't seem to have all that much information on it. So I don't know. I'm not trying to. One of these things you gotta be careful, right? Like you're not in the room, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what Ken's dealing with, you don't know what Josh is dealing with, you don't know what Thomas is dealing with, you don't know why these decisions are made, really. But we can talk about how they look, and maybe Ken's ready to leave, and but they want to keep him on in some sort of capacity, so or needs to take a step back or whatever. Time will tell what happened here, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But and Ken, I guess, I looked it up. He is one of the longest serving presidents of the Disneyland Resort, going back to Jack Lindquist. So 5 years is a long time. It's I think there's only one other person who had a tenure that long, and I'm going to see if I can find out where I put that.
I'm sure it was somebody.
Yeah, but like, they sort of famously went through um, a lot real quickly, but usually it's been 3 years. Jack Lindquist was only president for 4 years. Then you had Paul Presser.
Well, yeah,
He
but the
was
resort was also closed for a year and a half or whatever it was.
true, but I think he also, that didn't make his job. It made his job different, but I don't think it made it easier.
I didn't say it made it easier. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
So, yeah, because you had Jack Lindquist, 1990, 1994. Paul Pressler is the other one who was 5 years. So, great
Beloved.
company. Cynthia Harris, 4 years. Matt Ouimet, 3 years. Ed Greer, 3 years. George Kalogridis, 4 years. Michael Colglazer, looks like a little less than 5 years. Josh D'Amaro, a year, basically. Rebecca Campbell, about a year. And then Ken Podrak. So, congratulations to everybody here. Congratulations to Ken, Thomas, Joe, and Andrew. And I look forward. I think Thomas is smart enough to know that he needs to get on the community. Disneyland is particularly even more so than Walt Disney World or any other place. Ken's the kind of guy who needs to get, or the president of Disneyland's the kind of guy who has to get out and be a presence in the community. So I look forward to Thomas meeting everybody, getting out there and getting Disneyland through all this Disneyland Forward stuff. So um, you know
I
uh,
mean, the hard part's over.
well, I mean the political part's over, but now
I think
yeah,
that's the hard part. I think figuring out what you want to build and then building it, that's a little bit easier.
I think for some people probably. I mean, I think there's operational impacts on this construction. I mean, they're closing the Red Car Trolley in just under a month to presumably start construction. So you're starting that all that work. I should say, there's obviously people who are not changing their jobs. There's Jeff Ollie still running Walt Disney World, and you have Natasha running Disneyland Paris. So there's other folks out there, and that are not moving. So it's not a complete sort of changeover, but it's a significant amount. I mean, this is a fairly large chunk of the business. So we got probably got a lot to talk about as it seems like things are starting to move forward. We got word that Josh D'Amaro is going to be presenting at South by Southwest in March
With
with,
Bergman,
with Alan Bergman, and
not
which is
Ingmar, but
which interesting because it's like Josh is showing he's working with everybody because you had Josh working with Alan Bergman at the studios, and then now this job is sort of jointly reporting to Jimmy Pitaro and Josh D'Amaro. So I guess with one notable exception, he's working with all his peers. Not that he doesn't work with all his peers, but publicly he's been working with all his peers in the last 72 hours. So, yeah, it's interesting changes, and we'll be ready to talk about it. Okay, got a question here. Wait, what executive changes? What's happening to Iger, and who's going to be the new executive of Walt Disney World? Okay, we'll rehash. Nothing's happening to Bob Iger. He is still scheduled. They're still scheduled to announce his replacement, according to the proxy statement that came out today, sometime in early 2026. Jeff Ollie is still going to continue to lead Walt Disney World. The changes are that Ken Pottrak, who's president of Disneyland, is going to be now the president of the Walt Disney Company Major Events Integration. And then we're going to Thomas Maslam, who's currently president of Disney Signature Experiences, is going to hop over to Disneyland. Joe Schott, who is president of Shanghai Disneyland, is now going to be in charge of Disney Signature Experiences. And then Andrew Bolstein is now going to be president and general manager of Shanghai Disney Resort, where he has been for quite some time. So that's the update. Captain Mickey Mouse. No changes to Walt Disney World or Iger or Disneyland Paris. But this just made my whole article I do at the end of the year saying our most fascinating people a lot easier. Captain Mickey Mouse says they should make D'Amaro to replace Iger because he's amazing at Disney experiences and projects. He's definitely in the running, and this may be a step in that direction. I'm not saying it is, but part of the challenge is you got to, if you're going to get promoted, you got to make sure there's someone to take your spot. So moving folks around so that you have a clear person who can become the new head of Disney experiences is important. So whether it's Thomas Maslam getting a little bit more parks exposure after kind of being more of a cruise line leader, not that he hasn't worked at Walt Disney World, maybe part of this calculus as well. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting 12 months or so as we kind of gauge. Who's the guy? I'm Benji. Sorry, I guess I should have said that. And this is Kyle. He's our executive editorial director. Hello. And we both work for laughingplace.com. And if you haven't checked it out, check out Kyle's premiere episode of On Location, a new YouTube show debuted with his coverage of CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. So anything to add? Not to mention we had the Oscar nominations today.
Yeah, that was early this morning. I put it on. I watched it on Disney Plus as they went from ABC News Live to GMA to the announcement, then a break, back to GMA, and then back to the announcement.
That's exactly what I did. I watched it on Disney Plus as well. it's kind of nice that they do those things now. I watched the inauguration on Disney Plus. Like I've been doing a lot on that. And if you're a D23 member, don't forget tonight you can watch the D23 Gold member. You can watch the Spoonful of Sherman tribute to Richard M. Sherman.
But D23 is not going to pay for your internet because you watch it. And also, if you have anyone in the house who is not a D23 Gold member, you better kick them the heck out, because if they overhear one tune, one note of Feed the Birds, D23 is coming after you.
Yeah, it's like someone had to approve that language, and they're like, there must be a reason, but whatever the reason is, isn't good enough to be that threatening over a stream of a Richard Sherman.
I also wonder who actually thought that we're like, oh, well, I need to watch this online. So clearly D23 is picking up my internet tab this month.
There's always one, right? Like that. It's like when I got married and they had all these disclaimers in the contract, and I was like, why is all this stuff there? And it's like, if it's in there, it's because it's happened once. And I'm like, okay, like I promise you, I will never complain about. Like there's something about how cake colors can change based on the. I was like, yeah, duh. Like okay, but whatever. But anyway, good luck to Josh and his team. We wish you all the best, because what's good for you is what's good for us as Disney fans. And join us tomorrow, where we will be live from the Disneyland Resort, speak of the devil, to cover
Quack.
Anaheim Ducks Day.
But before that, we'll also have a morning show at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Me and the return of Doobie.
Wow, the return of Doobie. That's optimistic.
I confirmed it with him today, so if he bails on me, then I'm going to be upset because I don't think I have anyone else on.
Well, good luck. Good luck to Doobie. Good luck to Kyle. Good luck to everybody. And if you want to wrap up of all the news of the day, whether it's from the proxy, from the executive shuffle, Oscar nominations.
Not to be confused with the Super Bowl shuffle.
I want to do I want to do a dance that every time there's an executive shuffle we do. It's like a bit we do. But yeah, check us out on Laughing Place. Also, don't let the fact that Disneyland Resort announced some exciting updates to the hotels of the Disney Resort mere hours before this was announced.
Minutes. It was not hours.
Yeah. So it's usually we get one of these weird, like, okay, we got to read through these things. We got to analyze it. We got to figure out what's really going on here a day. We got a couple today because that proxy is kind of a pain to go through every year. And then this one took a little bit longer to figure out as well. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.